Welcome, everybody. This is the regular meeting of the Mayor and Council for Monday, October 2nd, 2017. We'll do this first. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in Borough Hall, by email to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same, as provided by a law of schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. I'd like to remind all members of the public we have 3 fire exits in the council chambers, 1 on each side of the dais and 1 in the rear. Roll call, please.
Councilman Freda?
Here.
Councilman Barmoni?
Here.
Councilwoman Steve? Here. Councilman Canigo?
Here.
Councilwoman Davis? Here. Councilman Papaleo is absent tonight. Mayor Menounos?
Here. And we rise for a moment to pledge the flag, and first a moment of silence. And tonight we're thinking about all the victims of the horrible tragedy in Las Vegas. Mr. Sorrell, lead us in the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Young, we're going to rearrange our agenda so you folks don't have to wait. Although we're paying attorneys to be here, so I don't know. So. We're going to have 4 proclamations this evening. The first one is we're going to be awarding certificates recognizing the JS Taekwondo Center Team Tigers for their victory in the 2017 USA Taekwondo National Championships. Estin, why don't you come up and... If you remember, Estin had come last year. We had a number of award winners. I think they've even done themselves this year. And we could go to the front of the council. Who's here? And
so, comparison to last year's medal placement, we actually tripled the number of medals at our U.S. Nationals. So, it's not your local competition or your other state things. This is at an actual national level. So, our athletes actually went to Detroit, Michigan. It was held this year. So, every year it's covering different states and challenges as well. So, you succeeded really well. The kids putting a lot of time throughout the week. They train at least 10 hours a week, 10 plus. And, throughout the time they were training, they had their hardships. They were through a lot of perseverance. And a lot of them did well. Succeeding in some medals. Even my junior athletes this year, we had a lot of newbies in novice athletes. The ones that are coming, they all attend the red scholarships. And also we have the first U.S. National Gold Medalist. We attend Riverdale High School. Coming up, is there? Each one, yes.
And I'll try to get everything.
So, first off, we have our athlete, Edwin Chapman, the third. Let's give him a big hand. And a good picture. And hopefully, council we can have everyone a good picture. And Daniel Lynn is still talking, sir. And then we have next Taylor Lee.
Taylor had a bronze medal?
Yes, correct.
Bronze medal. Congratulations.
Then we have Junior B as well. He attends the Spanish High School. He travels from town over to come training as well. Representative of Then we have Adrian Pinos. Adrian Pinos is here. Very good. We have Jackson Lee, one fastest, sir.
These are the silver medalists.
He's 7 silver medalists. His division was about 40 in his division. And that's all the country. He's good. All the way back good. Nicholas Gil Martin, running fast. Division? Good job. He'll be happy. And we have Aiden Lynn. Even last year, yes, he's one of our veteran athletes. And then I believe we have Isaac is on passing at the moment, and we have Ryan Pack last one. Ryan
And Isaac is our gold medalist.
Yes, he's our silver medalist. Yeah, he's absent at the moment. So, we have a guest today, Superintendent of the Elementary Schools, Dr. Reggio. Welcome. Here everyone.
So last thing, thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you for allowing these young students to shine. And if I may quote last to you in an email that you wrote to me, it said, some of these students don't say much, but they do it. They really do it. And I want to thank the council, mayor and council, for giving our students this opportunity. This is just absolutely wonderful. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Do I get a common medal from yesterday?
So if anyone didn't notice, yesterday we had a liver day, and the mayor actually broke through some boards. He broke 3 boards. And everyone was surprised.
The mayor.
Don't mess with the mayor.
I send over some pictures.
Thank you for what you're doing. It's been a wonderful program. Obviously, you've been very successful. And it's our pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you again.
All right, everyone standing up, yes, sir. I'm sure we'll do a group shot show with everyone that's involved before we get
Check the other one, the ladies. Yes, check the check.
We'll have tigers in the front, okay, we'll have in the back. Let's have 2 senior lines with let's come to the front. Right, turn around. No fighting hands. No split.
How many days have you been the fighting thing?
And then we're good to go. A little like this, just like this. A little like this. Small. So no, nothing too high today.
1, 2, 3.
No, center alarms, one more, last one.
For the record, we also have 3 other proclamations this evening. I will just be brief, there's nobody here to accept them, but it's still important that we recognize. First is to recognize Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And whereas in the United States, breast cancer is the 3rd most common cause of cancer death after lung cancer and colon cancer. And whereas during National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we renew our commitment to fighting this disease, raising awareness and supporting those affected. Whereas death rates from breast cancer have been declining, and this change is believed to be the result of early detection and improved treatment. Whereas October 20th, 2017 is National Mammography Day, a day set aside to promote the importance of regular screenings in the early detection and prompt treatment of breast cancer. Whereas it is important to continue the fight against breast cancer and to reduce the risk of disease among our citizens. Now therefore be resolved that I, as the Mayor of Borough River Edge, on behalf of the Council, do proclaim October 2017 is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Second proclamation is for Fire Prevention Week, and there's nobody from the fire department, unfortunately. Whereas cooking, heating, and electrical fires represent 3 of the nation's leading causes of home fires and are collectively responsible for nearly half of all home fires and almost 1/3 of the associated fire deaths. And whereas the vast majority of home cooking, heating, and electrical fires can be prevented by taking simple safety precautions. And whereas developing a home fire escape plan and practicing at least twice a year are critical to escaping a fire safely. Whereas Fire Prevention Week 2017 theme, Every Second Counts, Plan to Wait Out, encourages the public to develop a home fire escape plan and make sure they have working smoke alarms. Whereas the fire service of the Borough River Edge is dedicated to the safety and life and property from the devastating effects of fire. And whereas the members of the fire service are joined by other concerned citizens of the Borough River Edge, as well as other emergency service providers and safety advocates, businesses, schools, service clubs, and organizations in their fire safety efforts. Whereas I, as the Mayor of the Borough River Edge, do hereby proclaim the week of October 8th to 14th as Fire Prevention Week. This week commemorates the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which killed more than 250 persons, left 100,000 people homeless, and destroyed more than 17,400 buildings. And I call upon the people of the Borough River Edge to participate in fire prevention activities at home, work, and school, and to take steps needed to make their homes and families safe from the leading causes of home fires, which include cooking, heating, and electrical fires, and practice and plan their home fire escape. And we're doing a tradition for, well, it's in recognition of Italian American Heritage Month. Obviously, Christopher Columbus hasn't getting very good press these days, but I think in terms of Italian culture and heritage, I still think he remains a very important person and a very important symbol for Italian Americans. So I'm pleased to have this proclamation this evening. I don't know whether in the past they've had more people of Italian descent on the council than they have now, but I probably don't think so. So since our newest council person, Dario Canigo, is here, we will ask him to accept the proclamation. So we will read this from the floor. inception and throughout our history, brave men, women, and children, yearning for freedom and opportunity, made the journey to the United States in search of a better life. And when from early explorers to the 5.5 million immigrants in the early 20th century, Italian Americans helped shape and develop our nation. And what's exciting, coinciding with festivities surrounding Columbus Day, National Italian American Heritage Fund recognizes the many achievements, contributions, and successes of Americans of Italian descent, and when Italian American citizens have made significant economic and cultural contributions to our nation, business communities, and their influences can be found in that work. Now therefore, be resolved that I am mayor of River Edge, in recognition thereof, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2017 as Italian American Heritage Month. Councilman? That's probably in the right. And then Mr. Barlow in the figures.
I'll send you a copy.
Thanks. Yeah, I know, right? At least we're having an argument this year about it, so it's okay. Want you to comment on the agenda first and then go into closed session, or do you want to just run through? You know, I think we'll just run through, I'm sorry, Mr. Okay? Could I have a motion open for public comments on any item on the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anybody have any comments or questions regarding any specific agenda item? There will be another opportunity to address the council at the end of the meeting. Seeing none, could I have a motion to close, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Appointment of personnel changes. Could I have a motion, please, to approve the salary increase of Lisa Solotowski, Deputy Court Administrator, from a Step 1 hourly rate of $19.56 to Step 2, $20.63, effective October 5th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? A motion, please, to approve the salary increase of Peter DeVries, Fire Inspector, from an hourly Step 2 rate of $24.23 to Step 3, $25.48, effective October 15th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the salary increase for Adrian Capasso, Construction Department Clerk, from Step 2 hourly rate of $20.63 to Step 3, $21.73, effective October 20th, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the salary increase of Stephanie Evans, Borough Clerk, from annual salary of, it says base? Step 3 salary of $66,646 to Step 4, $71,54, effective October 22nd, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And lastly, motion please to approve the appointment of David Stuckey to the River Edge Volunteer Fire Department, effective October 3rd, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Stuckey's not here this evening to be sworn in, so I guess he can sign his oath with Stephanie. There are various pieces of correspondence listed on the agenda. Copies are available through the Borough Clerk's office if anyone's interested, including reports from our administrator regarding damage to public property, the Farmers Market Monthly Report, River Edge Board Petition Meeting Notice. We also have a monthly report from the Tax Collector for August 2017, the Library Board for September, the Recreation Commission, April, May, June, and July 2017, our Land Use Board, June and July 2017, and the Board of Health from September 2017. We have two ordinances on this evening for first reading. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 17-23 by title.
Ordinance 1723, an ordinance of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, in the State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 400 of the Borough of the River Edge Borough Code, entitled Vehicles and Traffic.
And this is, we're modifying a section of our traffic ordinance for partners. I'm not sure exactly all the details, Chief. Would you be able to?
This had to do with just making a correction in the language covering Continental Avenue for no parking zone to make it enforceable, consistent with New Jersey.
Would someone like to make a motion to adopt this on first reading?
So moved. Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Estrada?
Yes.
Councilman Bordeloni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve? Yes. Councilman Kamigo?
Yes.
And Councilwoman Davis?
Yes.
And that will be listed for a second reading, public hearing at a later meeting. Madam Clerk, please read ordinance 1724 by title.
Ordinance 1724, ordinance of the Borough of River Edge, County of Bergen, and the State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Chapter 382 of the River Edge Borough Code entitled Towing.
And I'm sure everybody recalls, we had some issues last winter with towing and some inconsistent application of the ordinance in terms of assessing fees to the residents. So I believe between Mr. Sarlo and the chief, they've clarified some of the language. I don't know, do you think you should just come up and maybe highlight the changes, please?
Good.
As the mayor mentioned, we've run into some issues with towing, especially last winter, and some of the fees that were charged for vehicles towed that were, in some cases, not in keeping with the ordinance at all, in other cases, keeping with the ordinance. However, sections of the ordinance seem prone to too much interpretation on the part of the tow service, leading to widely varying tow fees depending on which tow service performed the actual towing. So we took a look at the ordinance and tried to tighten up some of those ambiguities and kept the fees essentially the same, but made the language a lot clearer in certain sections as to what was allowable for charging and what some of those definitions of the services actually are. There was also a change made to the storage section, defining a storage period as a 24-hour period or a part thereof, and then beginning at 12:01 a.m.
With a 3-hour window.
With a 3-hour window allowing for the person to return where they would not be charged for towing.
We've seen where they, once it hits the lot, the storage fee starts to accrue, and they're there 15 minutes later. So it's a 3-hour window to get it, no storage fee. Any part thereafter, they hit the storage fee at 12:01, it resets. You had to have some type of standard, so we felt that was the appropriate.
And this is when the time of year we will be reissuing contracts?
Yeah, I'm receiving applications now from the different tow companies for inclusion on our list.
We eliminated some, as you could see, it's right there, like the yard fee. We just felt that was, we didn't really know what that interpretation was, and people were getting charged a storage fee and a yard fee, and then every time the vehicle was moved in the yard, they were getting hit again. So we totally eliminated the yard fees. We felt it wasn't necessary. A couple other things we eliminated. I believe there was one that talked about a level 3 supervisor coming out, and we didn't know what that level 3 supervisor was. We eliminated that. And then we tightened up the winching. Winching basically, they charge, or most were charging for winching if the vehicle was parked and they were able to bring it up as soon as they winched it. So now we tightened it up that, and we made it, I think we made it as clear as can be, if not redundantly clear, that you cannot winch at all unless that vehicle is in an embankment or you can't get it. I don't.
Off the roadway.
Yeah, off the road. I think we've made it as clear as can be.
I think it would be interesting if you go back to that analysis you did at the end of the winter, the best we can, to see how the rates would have been different if this had been in place.
Well, several of the tows would have had $95 off the top taken off of it.
Yeah, I'd be interesting probably to see what...
And others, it would certainly affect the storage fee.
So that's something we can just look at. I appreciate that.
There was just one section that Tom, Borough Attorney Sarlo and I discussed this at length last week over the weekend. A couple of things just in reviewing it again today. Under Section D for cleanup, it talks about extra personnel per hour per person. Is that commonly included, or?
I have seen it in some, and I haven't seen it in others.
I'm just wondering about the
Two guys
possibility.
come out, they start hitting, they take you for, right. Some guy throws the speedy drive down, the other guy spreads.
Sweeps it, yeah.
Yeah,
So I wonder if that might be something that not,
we could remove.
that not
Sure.
need to be included at all.
Which,
Under
looking under
D,
D.
cleanup.
For the extra person that you
Yeah,
put
kept
on.
it.
Is someone, we could amend it now?
I think so, I don't think it's a substantial change.
Would someone make a motion accepting the chief's recommendation?
So moved.
The only other thing, sorry. The other thing I wanted to point out was the release of vehicles. We added it, or we increased the time on Monday to Friday to 6 o'clock. I think it would only went to either 4 or 4:30. We felt they should be open till 6 o'clock, give people the opportunity to get home, and get that.
And just to clarify, there's no change in the other restriction that they have to accept credit cards, and they can't mandate people go and pay cash, right? That was the original, we're not changing that part, so it's...
We didn't touch anything.
So everything
but
else
the
is
fee
still
part.
in
So,
force.
right. If it's in there, we didn't touch that. They must accept credit cards.
The part, that's not addressed in these sections.
No, but it's in the original, so it's not being
It's in the
changed, so
other
it'll
sections.
it'll
We
stay,
did not touch it.
yeah, so it'll stay in effect, that's all, I'm just trying to clarify that. So the motion,
Yes.
with a second, to remove extra personnel under item D for cleanup.
Second.
Any more discussion? Roll call?
Councilman Aqbayda?
Yes.
Councilman Bartoloni?
Yes.
Councilwoman Steve? Yes. Councilman Domingo?
Yes.
Councilwoman Davis? Yes.
Thank you, Chief. This will be listed for public hearing at a later meeting.
Thanks, Chief.
Right, we have no ordinances on for second reading this evening. We have resolutions under our consent agenda, Resolution 17-323 to 17-333, and then 335 and 336. Any member of council would like to call for separate consideration or vote any of these resolutions? If not, may I have a motion to adopt them by consent?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Will our finance chair, Councilman Bartoloni, please read and move Resolution 17-334, payment of bills?
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee, now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $1,749,893.63. Capital account, $463,549.84. Recreation account, $4,807.82. Self-insurance account, $1,142.79. Trust other account, $59,119.22. Open space account, $5,048.96. Trust other developers account, $10,440. So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? If we have a motion to open to the public, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are open to the public for any comments, questions. Yes, Mr. Connors.
I have a question for Mr. Sarlo. Have you returned the letters that the New Jersey Disability Rights Lawyer has asked about? On the bond ordinance of...
I understand what you're saying. We're in the process of replying to it. I asked for some additional,
3 years?
and it hasn't been 3 years.
Excuse me, I have it right here.
I understand, but it was resolved 3 years ago with my letter to her as to what we were going to do. So there's no activity from my point, from a legal point, to do anything further. My last letter to her explained the borough's position. The borough's position. But in the light of your inquiry, and we have not heard anything back from the disability group,
Right.
after my letter 3 years ago. The only thing we have is an email from you to Mr. Negri. So, one, I cannot communicate with you. I need to communicate.
What is the borough's opinion? I just asked you that before.
I'm going to send her a letter as soon as I receive some additional documentation.
People know what's going on.
But you're represented by an attorney.
So, what does that have to do with it?
I need to communicate with your attorney now.
I want the answers.
I, as an attorney, need to communicate with your attorney. I'm sorry, but you had the attorney, I need to communicate with her. So the answer is I'm going to respond to
Being
you.
discriminated against, not just now, but the whole time. This has been going on for 10 years. 10 years. Alan, remember I started talking about the corners up at Lincoln Avenue? Nothing's been done there, and they paved. And I told you who to contact, and you have to initiate it. The county's not gonna do it. You have to let them know about the problem. Just as you did, I believe, down near Wayne Avenue, when Sandy was still there, to get them putting curb cuts in down there, correct?
I believe that might be done with the grant, Casey.
Everybody got laryngitis.
Mr. Sarlo, you will reach out to the attorney?
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Mr. Connors?
I believe we had a meeting on that. We had a closed session based on that and some additional documentation regarding the locations in question that we were gonna follow up as to, I believe we authorized the borough engineer to go out and do another inspection on those as to whether they're in compliance or not, and we're waiting on that to come back. So as soon as I get the additional. Sorry?
I have a letter in this file here that stated that Bob Costa's business did some sort of land survey on something like 60 some odd curb ramps, and that there was $17,500 that was sitting there, and that's from Alan to the attorney, that I haven't seen any of these curb cuts being repaired. The only ones that have been touched is down where they paved on Fifth Avenue.
I believe.
That money was for the CDBG, or was it for the Tinkerton Road paving?
I'm not going to respond until I see the original document as to what's being referred to. 17.5 could be the pay-to-play threshold.
Yes, that's
So
what I don't know.
I'm not going to respond to
Okay,
that.
but you will get the
I can't-
information, but you will get the information and
I'll try and research it.
thank you. Anything else, Casey?
Has the county been notified of Lincoln Avenue?
That's one of the ones Mr. Costa is evaluating.
Excuse me?
Mr. Costa is evaluating that particular location.
After 10 years?
No, that was,
Excuse me, this started the very first day I came down here on this scooter, when Peggy was mayor. And her response to that is, it's not our responsibility, it's the county. Well, you guys have to contact the county.
it's not a matter of responsibility. The borough is, well, the adjacent property owners are responsible for ramps. And the county, those were redone prior to the paving of Tinkerton Road. There are legitimate engineering exceptions that prevent complete per letter compliance. When you have a 15% hill, you can't have a 0% cross slope. It just doesn't work. And well,
Have you seen it? Have you walked by it?
yes, and
If
Mr.
you
Costa
bang your head into
will,
one of the light stanchions, you can't get by
I'm
it.
not going to comment on that aspect. Mr. Costa will do a full evaluation, and if there needs to be remedial action, then we'll go forward.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I just hope he does not do it like Mr. Murphy down in the county did with Google Maps. He's looking at Google Maps, he says, oh, there's plenty of room to get around them. I said,
Well,
"Well,
I wouldn't,
about
I'm sorry, I would expect Mr. Costa to be a little more rigorous than that, so,
that?" I would hope so.
I would hope so too. Thank you. Any other comments, please, any questions?
You're gonna be contacting Ms. Riley?
I'm gonna send, although I have not received any correspondence from Ms. Riley, I am going to send her an update based on your email to Alan. She was, I believe, copied on that,
Yes.
so I'm going to
And
send.
as pertaining to anything with the sidewalks and curb cuts, that is the municipality's responsibility. Under Barden versus Sacramento, it states that it is the municipality's problem, because that's free and clear. That's not free and clear of these sidewalks. If you don't believe me, please, I have another one of these, plus I have a bigger scooter that I'll ride. You can follow me, and you can walk. You can do whatever you want, like you did down there in Middlebury. You walked around that lake and said the path should be redone because of possible liabilities. Well, the liabilities here on the sidewalks too, not to the homeowner. It's to the municipality. Big money.
Yeah, we're gonna, all the locations that are listed, again, I'm waiting for the additional documentation from Mr. Costa, and especially the one Lincoln, and then we're going to do an update and address them. I'm not guaranteeing you that they're gonna be done, there may not be the borough's responsibility, I don't know, I mean, again, that'll be
All the
Mr.
sidewalks and
Costa's.
programs are the responsibility of this municipality. Like I told them.
I understand
during
that.
the winter,
It's,
the clearing of those curb cuts are not responsible by the homeowner. That is the town's responsibility.
and a lot of those locations, I believe, have, or are accessible, it's just now whether they conform to the new requirements.
They don't meet the requirements of 2010, 7 years ago.
Depends when they were, right, constructed.
Okay, it's a 1-to-6 ratio. Vito might want to correct me if I'm wrong on that. I think he knows that. I'm not sure. I don't have my paperwork on that. It's a 1-in-6 ratio or 1-in-12.
And a 4x4 with 1%
There was
crosswalk.
one letter that was sent to me by Ms. Riley that stated that some of these properties, because of abuts it, the homeowner's property abuts, they have to redo the curb cut. No.
Well, I don't want to get into technical discussions, but sometimes you do need to go back, and you see them in some locations where we had to put either little retaining walls or even curbing because you have to push back to get the proper grade. So that can occur, where you have to actually get some encroach on private property. It's not unheard of.
Would you please, people, answer me, who's going to volunteer and come with me? I've got a son-in-law that's 6'6", 270 pounds. I'll put him behind the manual chair, and you can take a ride and see some of these curb cuts down on Continental Avenue. I travel it every day. I can't ride the whole street, the sidewalk all the way down through Paramus, because they have the sidewalk that is like that. And I've spoken to Mr. Diarco, I think his name is there, the borough administration. Alan, is that his name?
Correct.
And it's funny, when they put in that new street down there where they had a development, Daniel Court, just past the town line, I had a problem with a curb cut there. 3 days later, it was fixed. Fixed. No questions asked. I spoke to him. I didn't talk to him on the phone. I sent him an email. He sent somebody up there from, I guess, his road department, and they fixed it.
Well, what was the defect?
There was no curb cut there. It was curb and down.
Okay. So there was no ramp, so they had to put a ramp in.
Yeah.
That's understandable. But when you're looking at whether you can meet the stringent requirements of the current code versus the field conditions, that's where there's discrepancy. With regard to signage has a minimum mounting height, so I don't see how that can be an issue. They have to be 7 feet high. So I don't know why signage would be an impediment. If that's the case, we would have that rectified.
In an email a while back, Alan might remember, I was telling him about 6th Avenue and Continental, where they've done something to the sidewalk and a curb cut there. I don't know who did it, but whoever did it, I hope the town didn't pay them. Because to use it, you have to turn out into Continental Avenue. You're supposed to be able to go straight like this down like a row of chairs. And the lines have to be painted to where the width of the ramp is, not haphazardly out that way. Tactile. Every corner of the town set down the new ones. And, you know, all this could have been avoided over the years if they continued their policy of somebody going around and marking the sidewalk. You know, they go out and mark and tell the homeowner, you gotta replace that, fix it. Now it's beyond help. There's one between Concord and I'm not sure of the street south of there going down Fifth Avenue. Just as you're coming up to Concord, there's no slab there at all. I was talking to a young kid and his mother the other day there. He fell into that a good 6-8 years ago.
That's on the west side
No, it's on the east side.
East side of Concord?
No, east side of Fifth Avenue. And
Oh,
it's
Fifth,
just
Fifth,
before
I'm
you get
sorry.
to the corner of Concord. You know, and I've read a lot of her letters, and I guess Mr. Sorrells noticed it also. She puts down like Fifth Street. I don't know if that really means anything in the gist of this whole thing. She's from a city, so she thinks it's a street.
I don't know, I think we understand what the location
But
is.
I would assume you understood what she meant when she said contact on Fifth or
Yes,
something.
I don't think that was misunderstood. So Mrs. Sarlo will follow up.
But I just hope I don't have to go any further in the steps beyond her. And I'm to the point of exploding on this whole thing, really am. After 10 years, starting with Peggy, and I'll never forget the night I was here. Somebody sent a letter to her complaining about the post office down near Bob's. It didn't have a handicap parking sign there, and her first words after reading or hearing that was, "Oh, we better get somebody down there before the Department of Justice gets there." And bingo, that sign was put up within days. Why? I guess she didn't think I'd do it, because my family knows her very well. After 10 years, I'd like to see some progress, not just down the other end. This is not just for me, this is for anybody that walks the streets in this town. And that includes the curb ramps, kids riding bicycles, mothers pushing a baby carriage. I see it every day, people out there walking dogs out the street, pushing baby carriages. That's crazy. I'm out there on the street, I got a headlight, I got a tail light. Not on this one. I can't get my other one in here. You saw how big it was yesterday, Ed. Right? It's only over there at Riverage down there, Thomas Day. And I can't get in the doors, they're not wide enough. My question is the elevator that's back there, is that a bigger elevator than out here, size-wise?
I believe it's the same size.
Same size? I was hoping that was bigger and we could get a ramp up here so I can use the one with the light at night to get down here. Coming down Penny, I almost got hit with cars coming at me and coming up behind me. And I was swerving in between parked cars. It was a slowing course. But, you know, something's got to be done, Mr. Mayor, really. It's got to be done, not just for me, the whole town. Like,
Understood.
Not just, let's say, Fifth Avenue or Adams Avenue where I live. It's all over the town. The sidewalks are in terrible condition because the trees have not been properly taken care of.
I don't want to get into the reasoning. There's legal issues, obviously, as you've alluded to, so we'll let Mr. Sarlo respond, and then we'll go forward.
That's what I won't get an answer.
I'm not giving you an answer. This is a legal proceeding, and Mr. Sarlo has told us we should not be discussing it. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it's not that I don't want to.
As soon as we receive the letter
So-
from your attorney, it's going to go through, as soon as we receive the letter from your attorney, it's going to go through me and through her.
We cannot comment on it.
Now, you said you're gonna have you had a closed session with her?
No.
No, I misunderstood this.
Mr. Sarlo was briefing us on the legal
Okay.
issues here.
And
Nothing on
closed sessions, you had it on your video. The closed session you had with the gentleman talking about insurance,
No, that was a closed session.
it said it was.
No, I think there was no time lapse. That was not a closed session.
I'm just going by what it said, you know, verbally, that's what you had said.
But he was not heard in closed
I think
session.
You gotta get a second or something?
Yes,
Yeah.
but this tape stops and starts, so we could have went into closed session and came back, and it would look like you were still continuing.
So you said closed
I can
session.
assure you that it wasn't recorded. Steph, is that correct?
That's correct. It's not closed sessions, are not recorded.
Yeah, we don't record the closed sessions, so.
Maybe you should get, you remember the old days we've got the movies? That tube scene, because
But I'm glad somebody watches the videos, so it's good to see. And when we're on TV, one of these days, you'll be able to watch us from home, so.
what you should do is get it on TV and.
We're going to be on TV,
Live and maybe.
well, I don't know if it'll be live, but we will be on TV in the near future.
Somebody here that could take questions on the computer and relay them to you or whoever.
Well, I don't know if that's a legal issue. I don't know if we can do that, but certain things we can move forward. Because you can guffaw, but we have to, there are laws we need to comply with also. The Open Public Meetings Act, Open Public Records, where we have to make sure we document everything properly. So it's not a matter of not,
Beyond
so.
a live feed to a TV right now, right? This session that we're in right now,
It's not on live TV.
I'm saying it could be, right?
It could be, yes.
Yeah, if somebody's sitting at home who cannot make it down to the meeting, like myself. and
But
those-
I understand your point, but how do we know that the person is who they say they are?
Well, there's gotta be
So you have,
somebody
that's why when you
log-
come here, you need to
log in.
identify yourself for the record with your name and address. It's very, there's other implications when you're talking about electronic. I'm not saying it's something we can't look at how to do it, but just so you understand too, it's not as clear cut as you may think. There are other implications, so. Thank you.
Well, I'm done. Have fun.
Any other comments from the public? I'm glad we have Peggy and Terry back this evening from a long hiatus, I think. So thank you for coming, ladies. Nice to see you. Nice to see you yesterday at the park. And Mr. Grasso is always here also. Any comments, questions, Mr. Grasso? Seeing no further inquiries. Oh, sorry, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Mayor, board members, my name's Ted Lestrange, 6 Jeffrey Court, Otisville. That's indeed. As compared with
I'm sorry, your address was what?
6 Jeffrey Court, Otisville, New York. Compared with the events earlier on this evening, I don't have good news for you, but it doesn't directly implicate the borough of River Ridge. In fact, it's entitled this Genocide by Scalpel. Now that's a title given by one of the investigators in forced organ harvesting in China. Their updated research concludes that China's hospitals transplant between 60,000 and 100,000 vital human body organs each year. So China has no real organ donation program. Here in the US, with the most sophisticated organ transplant system in the world, a patient can wait up to 3 years for a matching organ to become available. In China, however, the waiting time is measured in weeks. An organ transplant tourists to China, including one from the US, can arrange a specific date for their operation. It effectively means that someone will be killed on their behalf on that date. It's a cultural taboo in China to donate one's organs after death. What's the source of all these organs? Translation of these facts equates to tens of thousands of prisoners of conscience each year being killed for their organs. Most of these prisoners of conscience are Falun Gong practitioners, but also Tibetans, Uyghurs, and House Christians. They are routinely blood tested and their organs examined while held in China's forced labor camps, detention centers, and black jails. A 1984 regulation, ironically, decrees that they and their organs become the property of the state. On June 3rd last year, the U.S. House of Representatives unanimously passed Resolution 343, which in the summary, quote, condemns the practice of state-sanctioned forced organ harvesting in China. Close quote. The European Parliament has also passed similar regulations. This has been happening for over 17 years.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Are you asking us to take action, or just, if you could please just let us know what?
Included in this is a request for a resolution. Apart from that, it's spreading information.
They think the council would want time to review the information, and if it's something that they want to put on a future agenda, then they'll do that through a work session. So,
Great. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will just run very quickly through council comments. If anybody has anything, Councilman Canito.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I'm sure many people will do tonight, I just wanted to extend a thank you to our Recreation Director, Bobby Conway, who will be retiring shortly. Her contribution to this town has been amazing over the years, and she will be sorely missed. Just a moment to also extend my condolences to everybody in Las Vegas who was affected by yesterday's horror. It is sad. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims, their families, and so forth, and really with all of us. On a lighter note, yesterday we had River Edge Day. It was very successful. It was lovely seeing all our residents, the kids, some great activities. Once again, just hit it out of the park. It was fantastic. Just a reminder to everybody that we have Living History right at Newbridge Landing. There's events that are ongoing all the time. Please go check it out. It's fantastic. It rivals pretty much anything, anywhere with respect to American history. It's a very important site, and a lot of people don't know about it, but Newbridge Landing, the Bergen Historic Society, there's great programs there all the time, and they have a good website. Lastly, as a liaison to the library, I'd like to remind everybody to go check out all their programs. There's some fantastic things that they do for adults, for kids, for the entire community. The library, the director, and the board work very hard. And again, I urge everybody to go there and take part. Thank you.
Very good. Councilman Davis.
I don't want to repeat everything you said about yesterday. It was a wonderful day, perfect weather, and it was excellent. So good to see such a great turnout. And again, what a great loss it will be to the town to have Bobby McDonald retire. She definitely deserves it. However, it's a great loss to River Edge. SCORE, Arlene Fastini is working on another program for November 20th that they're going to put on down there. It was a program that somebody contacted her about doing it somewhere else up here, and she's pushing to have it done at SCORE, hoping that we'll get more people down there. So Arlene's really working on trying to boost the number of people that go there. And the farmers market, the last day will be Halloween, so we're having a meeting to see what we can come up with to do something a little special on Halloween.
Thank you. Councilman Cabrera.
Very sorry to hear about Bobby's letter. However, I think it gives the council a wonderful opportunity to ensure that there is a smooth transition, as well as to perhaps take a good hard look at the Recreation Commission as such, and what the resignation or retirement of Bobby could mean to that. I was around when Bobby was hired, so I think that makes me a senior citizen by default. Certainly, the news has taken over our lives again with killings in Las Vegas, and these are not terrorist killings, but certainly the effect is as catastrophic as if they were motivated by terrorism. I just have no words to describe the madness that we find ourselves in the 21st century now. I was also at River Edge Day. I enjoyed the sun and the blue chair under the canopy. It was really what the doctor ordered. Regarding committees, I did attend one of the River Edge Board of Education meetings in September. Really nothing special to report. As true to form, the board sticks to their agenda. There were a few questions by residents regarding school matters. I think what I may want to report is that the board is preparing a statement to be issued to the community, basically stating that they are not going for a school expansion project at this time. And they will also take time to review all 4 options that were presented sometime earlier this year by the architect that was retained by the school. I think it's Mr. Decada. I will not be able to attend Wednesday's meeting. If anybody wants to fill in, be my guest. And that's about it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bartoloni.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple things. Traffic and safety did meet last week, and one of the main issues that was discussed at the meeting was a crosswalk at the location of Wayne and Kinderkamack. It was the recommendation of the committee that crosswalk be installed. I did speak with the chief of police because there was an issue as to whether or not, because this is an old issue, it's been going on for a long time, was whether or not the crosswalk should be installed prior to a sidewalk being installed there, or if it could just go in now. And in speaking with the chief, he was of the opinion that the crosswalk could go in now without the sidewalk being in place. So I thought maybe that's something that we can bring up for a work session at our next meeting to discuss it. I think it's worthwhile project. Obviously it's the county, but we have to push them to get that done. So I just wanted to see if we can't list that for a work session.
I don't know if I agree not having a sidewalk. I think that Mr. Costa should really check the regulations, because if there's mud over there and someone tries to get across, I don't know if that might be an issue. There will be a sidewalk there eventually, because that's within the scope of our Safer School grants. But we also had talked at one point, at least maybe just doing a ramp on that side and maybe a pad towards the bus stop. And, maybe we can get a cost to do a little bit. I would feel more comfortable if there was a little hard surface on that side.
All right, well, like I said, maybe we could just list it for a work session so we could talk about that. And then Mr. Costa look at it and see, what the cost would be to put a pad down. So
I'll wave the magic wand and find the money for us.
Over rabbits.
Congratulations also to all the students at JS Taekwondo. They're fabulous. And to the mayor for a hammer strike.
Oh, I get a punch and
a hammer strike, very nice.
Yeah.
Also, River Edge Day was fantastic. I'll save my comments about Bobby until we got a couple months.
Yeah.
Maybe we can convince her. Otherwise, in the meantime, and just something I just wanted to bring up, and I forgot my notes, but I'm just going to bring it up now anyway. I don't know if everybody saw, I'm sure everybody did, New Jersey Magazine. River Edge was listed as the 16th top town in the state. That's, I think, something to be proud of.
It's a long way.
It's a long way. I mean, it speaks to the quality of the people here, and what a great place it is to raise a family and retire, and just like I said, the quality of our people. But it's interesting if you take a look at the numbers and where they talk about, and it's just a credit to this council in terms of, they talk about the tax raises over the last 3 years and how River Edge has done a fantastic effort. Even if you look at our neighbors around us, Oradell, and some of the other towns around us, and our per capita debt, take a look at those numbers too, because we significantly less debt per person than our surrounding neighborhoods. So just a wonderful effort by this council and the mayor in having a responsible fiscal picture. So just I encourage everybody really to take a look at that magazine, and you can see, you get a really good sense of what a fantastic job we've been doing finance-wise, and just the fact, again, number 16 out of, I don't know, what is there, 576 municipalities in the state. So that's quite an accomplishment, and that's it.
We rank higher than the high school.
Yeah, so.
High school is in the 70s. It's regional.
Councilman Steve.
Okay, thank you. Again, echoes thank you to all the volunteers and the residents who came out to make River Edge Day another successful community event, and to Bobby and her leadership. As always, I'm going to reserve my comments on Bobby's retirement until it gets closer. I want to thank the Lions Club and other community groups that are organizing hurricane relief efforts. There was a big collection yesterday, and I'm sure as more collection efforts occur, they will be, our residents will now. I needed to prepare a statement after hearing about Vegas this morning because I knew that I wouldn't be able to speak about it unless I have it written down, so I hope you'll all oblige. So last week, my husband and I were in Washington, D.C., as we have been many times before, and the grandness and importance of this place never wanes. On this visit, I was granted passes to the U.S. House of Representatives Gallery. Little did I know that during my time in the gallery, Representative Steve Scalise from Louisiana would be returning for the first time since being the victim of gun violence last June. It was an incredibly moving and triumphant return that with well-deserved applause from a full gallery of legislators. I sat there so moved by what Representative Scalise, his family's colleagues, and first responders had endured to get him to this moment. What an opportunity the country has to address gun violence, I thought. Today, America woke up to another senseless tragedy involving guns. You can be sure that I will pray for the victims, their families, and all of the first responders, but you can also be sure that I will do what I can to take action. I will call my legislators in Washington and demand that they address common sense gun measures. I will support local organizations that advocate for common sense gun measures, and I will encourage my colleagues in this body to recognize gun violence awareness and consider taking action as well. Furthermore, I will continue to advocate for quality mental health services. The victims, their families, and the first responders will need access to quality mental health services as the aftermath of this tragedy unfolds. River Edge, through its stigma-free initiative, strives to bring mental illness and mental health into our everyday conversations through programming and advocacy. And we're fortunate enough to have a police department that has been specifically trained in law enforcement-specific mental health training. These are important efforts, and I thank those involved for your commitment to them. Our citizens deserve no less. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I think we all agree with your sentiments. Just a couple things. Yep, River Day was great. Want to be that? Yes. And I told Bobby she's lucky. I didn't need an AED after opening up my email last Friday. And the funny part, Councilman Pepperley wasn't here, but I had said to him, you know, we got some flowers for Bobby, and he goes, that's nice. And I said, yeah, it's you know, it's shocking. And he's like, well, what? And he goes, she's retiring. He goes, really? So, because he didn't see it, but said it was a shock to all of us, but I think what Dr. Fred said is absolutely true. It may give us an opportunity to look at everything with a fresh perspective, and I think we will. It's not something I think should be done rashly. I don't think this is a position that you fill quickly. Bobby was here for 24 years, and I think it's one of those positions like when you hire a police officer that you have to look at the person you're hiring as someone who may be with us for a decade or two. So I think we'll be exploring that more in the near future. I did want to comment about the schools because I was told by a resident that it's been coming up recently, and I thought this was old news, but apparently it's not. That apparently this council, and I guess by extension myself, are being blamed for the increasing enrollment in the schools again. About all this overdevelopment, and I keep telling people what has been built in the last 10 years that added anything. There may have been 2 or 3 subdivisions, but that's it. They can speculate about what may come from the Newbridge apartments, but to date, I don't know why that just keeps being proffered, and I have to set the record straight on that because it's not factual. And I remind the other people to go back, and they should remind the school board and the superintendent. Nobody on this council was here, myself included, when previous councils approved 3 redevelopment plans that can bring us 400 to 600 apartment units. They were signed, sealed, delivered. All they have to do is be funded, and we will have them. And so they need to plan for that eventuality. We don't know what's going to happen with COA and what our ultimate obligation is going to be, and the school's going to have to be willing to partner with the borough to address this. But I said, look to the future, and what was done in the past was, in my opinion, not done very prudently. But they need to recognize the situation for what it is and not make it us versus them as we're doing something incorrect. Councilman, just happen to have some notes with me, and I think I'm just going to follow up on something you said very quickly. Because people are, yes, they're very concerned about taxes, and we've said all along, we've been trying to control it. We came into a very dire, straight situation in 2010, and I just happened to look at the last 3 years for two neighbors, Ordell and New Milford. And it's interesting when you look at it. If you go from 2014 to 17, Ordell's tax levy has increased 11% over that time period. Their budget has increased 11% over that time period. Their debt has increased 15% over that time period. And the amount of surplus they've used as revenue has gone up 53%. New Milford, this sounds encouraging. The levy went up 2.7% over those same period. Their budget went up 8%. But it was at the expense of using surplus. Their surplus is now 110% more than it was 3 years ago. They went from using $700,000 to $1.5 million this current year to offset that increase. And that's what got this borough into great big trouble in the earlier part of the 2000s. So now let's look at us. Our tax levy went up from 2014 to 2017 5%. The budget went up 4%. Our debt went up 4%, and the surplus used increased 0%. So I think by those indicators, Councilman, that I think this council has done a great job in trying to stabilize taxes, and we all acknowledge and we all say that the work's not done, but point to our neighbors, and we're trending the right way. And so I think we should all be proud of the financial condition of the borough. So I just wanted to, something like that. And I guess that will be it for this evening. If there's no more comments, can I please have a motion to adjourn?
Approval of minutes.
I'm sorry?
Approval of minutes.
Oh. Motion, please, to the approval of minutes of the Mayor and Council work session meeting of August 15, 2017, the regular and special meeting of September 5, 2017, and the work session meeting of September 18, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Is that everything? Motion to adjourn, and then we're going into closed session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Peg. Thank you, Terry. We'll see you soon.